Hey guys, how's it going? Eli here, back with another video where today we're going to be talking about the overall market implications and how this crash is actually going to play a healthy effect on the market long-term overall. Without further ado, let's just jump right into it. So as always, I will start off the video by saying, for those people that don't know, we are doing a weekly giveaway, and we decided that we're going to be giving away to 2 lucky winners a week, 6 Fusion Strike booster packs every single week. All you have to do to be entered is to be subscribed to the channel, and then I post 3 regular videos weekly, and just like and comment on one of the videos. If you want to like and comment on all 3, you actually get entered in 3 times to the drawing to see if you get the opportunity to potentially win 6 Fusion Strike booster packs. And like I said, there's actually opportunities for 2 winners. And here's something what's kind of cool about that is, since we're going to pick 2 winners, you have not only double the opportunities to win potentially 6 packs, but then on top of that, since there's 3 videos, you can also triple your odds there. And we still are a relatively small channel, so you actually have relatively high odds, all things considered. So I'd be without remorse if I didn't mention that at the start of the video as per usual. But let's get into the topic. So as far as it goes, as you guys are probably accustomed to, when I usually make my videos, I usually have kind of the secondary screen pulled up, and I have something that I kind of want to show you guys. To be honest with you, today I don't really have that. It's mainly going to be just me focusing and talking to you guys out about some important information that I want to kind of address to you guys in the market. So I actually was talking to some people earlier today. This is pre-recorded on a Tuesday when I was doing my shiny hunting live stream. And I was kind of discussing about the overall implications of the future of the market, as well as they were asking me just general questions in regards to, is it a good time to invest? What are good sets to invest? And all of these just, a lot of, in my personal opinion, really good questions. And so one of the things that I had kind of discussed with them was I had talked about the 3 types of investors that you see in an overall market, as well as the implications of how that's kind of played effect. And so this is kind of going to be our main topic for today. And so what do I kind of mean by these 3 main investors? So what ends up happening is you see this typically during markets, but then you also see the corrective phase of markets and kind of how this looks. So we're going to go through and talk about the overall general market and then the overall corrective phase. So in a general market, the 3 kind of, investors that you have is you have, short term, medium term, and then long term. And so what does short term mean? Short term means someone who is trying to invest in the market, and that can be within the span of literally a day to as long as a month. Medium term is someone who's typically, an investor anywhere between 6 months to a year, and then long term is typically 3 to 5 years plus. Why am I talking about that from the perspective of investors and not collectors? Well, the reason why is because this is something that is important, because they kind of tie in a lot of the same way, especially when it comes to how it affects you guys as collectors. And so that's why it's very important that you guys understand a lot of these concepts, especially for those who are kind of new to the channel, new to the Pokemon hobby, and are trying to understand just how things work. So typically when we talk about short-term investors, like I said, a day to a month, honestly, I feel like I'm giving them too much credit by even calling them investors, because I don't even think they should have the kind of level of credibility to be called that. I would consider the majority of them scalpers. So those kind of people, for those who don't know what scalpers are, they're the kind of low lifes that end up going into Walmarts, buying out all the Pokemon product, and then leaving none for the rest of the people that not only collect the cards, but also the kids that just want to be able to get into the game and play it with their friends. But of course, instead you have these scalpers that basically come in and are able to resell or mark up value prices by selling them on secondhand websites, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, other marketplaces, and so on and so on. So however, there are actually short-term, investors or flippers. More or less, those are the people that, or I should say, a form of investing and flipping is those people that do open booster boxes that they either got from their distributor, or they got it from, like a site like mine, for example, and then they open it up and then they sell the cards because they know that the price is going to dip within 4 to 5 months of initial release when it comes to card prices. So they'd much rather sell it now, see if they can make a profit, but still have the enjoyment of opening the packs. So like stuff like that. But as far as it goes, the main kind of term we're looking at in more or less is scalpers. Then you have your medium term. So the medium term typically is the people that, they saw an opportunity in the market. They basically said to themselves, hey, I see this opportunity. I'm going to kind of get in. And, maybe it's one of these things where they saw the opportunity because, they saw that prices were cheap and they saw a potential spike up in opportunity in that product, or because, let's say, for example, Evolving Skies booster boxes in their mind were at 190 and dropped to 140, and they're like, 140 is a great deal, let me get in at a good price. Like, that's kind of like your midterm, and then they wait it out hoping the price will go back up. And then lastly, you have your long-term investor. This is kind of the 3 to 5 years. These are a lot of the people that kind of like sit on product and basically are like, I'm a collector who likes to have sealed product, kind of like how you see in the background. But then there's also like sets that I believe in long-term will, be successful, like Evolving Skies and other older sets as well. So now this is just the basic premise of these 3 investment types. Now here's where it's really important. This is probably going to be the most important concept of the video in regards to the 3 investor types. The overall effect a downside market has and how it continues the overall flushing out of the market. So what do I mean by that? So you have a couple of things. One of the things that we've kind of seen recently within this overall bloodbath of everything going down is you've started to see a lot more product show up on the shelves. And so with that being said, you've seen a lot less scalpers going in and buying everything up, which has been super duper healthy for the market. So that's one of the reasons why I think overall having these, price products, regardless of whether it's a good thing if it drops so drastically or not, I do think gradually is healthier. But, we had so much upside, it only makes sense that it would drop as fast as it went up. And with that being said, it makes it a lot harder for scalpers to come in and sell secondhand. And so from an overall collectability perspective, from an overall, helping get to the kids who are going to be the future of the hobby, it's actually very healthy. And that's why, like I said, this is stuff that's important for you collectors, because this does play a role on if you're able to get a cheap Pokemon product, let alone go find it at your local, like Walmart or LGS or whatever that looks like. So as far as it goes, the market implications for this have been actually very healthy in regards to overall scalpers. And then second off, you have your midterm. And now here is actually where it gets really interesting. Or not, I shouldn't say midterm. I would say like, short term, middle term, and then long term. Yeah, no, I think that's the right term. Basically, here's where it gets even more interesting, and this is where this gets fun. So a lot of the midterm, I would say, kind of investors are the majority of the public. They're the people that basically heard that, Pokemon product is, and this could also tie into scalpers. They heard that Pokemon product is going hot right now. They saw that there was a quote-unquote opportunity in it, and so they held the product thinking, first off, a lot of people had no clue what the frick the value actually was of the product. They just held it because they had someone say, yo, look at the price of Pokemon product, it's gone up, or they knew someone who's made a ton of money in Pokemon, and so for that reason, they just said to themselves, I'm just going to buy whatever it is because everything's going to the freaking moon. And so they said, I'm just going to flip it in the next 6 months to a year, or they heard there's a reprint or whatever that kind of looks like. So there's kind of 2 ways in which that could possibly go. And this is where it's very important, because I hear a lot of the times, and I actually once again talked about this earlier today on the stream, I heard a lot of times you hear people say to me all the time, Eli, why invest in Modern? Modern is worthless. It's been printed to the ground. There's no purpose of investing in Modern. Well, I think that is such a short-minded, narrow-minded mentality, and then 2, that is something where you obviously and I'm not trying to be offensive here, but you don't really know what you're talking about when you say that. Because at the end of the day, you have to understand that the Pokemon Company has been known for printing things into the ground endlessly and obliviously. We had a massive reprint with, Evolutions, one of the most overprinted sets, and it broke all the way up to $1,000. Now you can sit here and say to yourself oh, well, that's because it was a super popular set. It was like a reprint of base set. If you're telling me that you don't think Evolving Skies is a super popular set that can potentially get up to a large value within the next, 5, 10, 15 plus years, whether that large value be $500, $1,000 or so, then I think you're smoking something, because Evolving Skies is a phenomenal set. And on top of the fact of the matter, with the current overall market price, I think it's a fantastic opportunity to get in. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but when you're looking at the overall booster box prices as far as it goes right now, you're not that far off from below MSRP, and a lot of places you can actually get it for below $100. So that's actually a crazy good deal in my opinion. Second off, in context of that, the reason why, in my personal opinion, and this is what ties into midterm investors, why a lot of people that have this kind of narrow-sighted mindset in regards to, printing things into the ground, and why Evolving skies could be the future as far as it goes from a good investment, as well as why looking back at evolutions and saying that set was printed in the ground and why that was also a good investment now looking back on it as it hit $1,000 at its high, mainly comes down to the fact of the matter you have to understand that there is a middle term investor that basically takes a look at evolutions and says to themselves, I'm going to go and I'm going to buy some evolutions because I think it could be the future. And then guess what ends up happening? They end up investing for 6 months. They end up investing for a year. And then after that, they realize that Pokemon was not something they were really passionate about. It was something that they kind of held on to just because they thought they could make money off of it. And they need money real quick because a bill came up. Whatever happened came up. And then they ended up deciding to just dump it and sell it for a small profit. Or there was those people that were collectors and they actually love opening the product. And so what did they do? They ended up opening the product themselves because they love and enjoy the hobby. So as far as it goes, the majority of people that are actually going to profit off of it are these 3 to 5 year investors. Not to mention the fact of the matter, if we do say all these 3 to 5 year investor pluses all of a sudden hoard all this product and then they decide, okay, I'm going to sell this product. Hypothetically, if they all dump the product all out at once, what's going to happen is it's all going to flood to the market. Then it's going to shore up. You're going to have some people open it. You're going to have some people collect it and not want to resell it. And that's going to wash out a huge portion of that kind of reselling, investor market that was holding on to the product. So it's going to be something where you're actually going to weed out things really, really quickly. And that's like a doomsday scenario if everyone were to just drop everything. But that's less than likely, because what actually is more than likely going to happen is you're going to see a steady flow of product coming on the market, because a lot of big time investors that are really smart with their assets like to put things on the market very slowly. It's kind of like how a lot of the times, like when you hear like the crypto world or like the stocks world, you'll hear like a company bought like several $billion of some form of asset, but yet you'll see like the only sort of market movement is usually from the reaction off of that. And the reason why that is whether it be the price went up because they bought so much of it, or the price went down because they sold so much of it. That's, like I said, it's like coincided with the overall market reaction, but not the actual move. And that's usually because a lot of the times these guys are buying small bits at a time so that it can gradually begin to build up over time. And so as the market kind of moves up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, they're always able to get in the price dollar that they want to be able to get in. Or you're also going to have people that are going to do like over the counter, is kind of what they call it, or under the table kind of deals, where basically you're buying stock from a company, or you're buying Pokemon, for example, not on a secondary market. And so you're actually able to get different value out of it, because a lot of big deals actually happen off market that a lot of people don't really know about, because it's not recorded, or people just don't like to discuss that financial information. And so that's why I think it's really important for a lot of people to kind of understand that when looking at it from an investment perspective, and how that's going to play a factor in the long-term kind of investment opportunities in regards to modern. Because at the end of the day, it's a depreciating asset. Not depreciating, a deflationary asset. And what do I mean by deflationary? I mean, as more and more of the product, printed, obviously the supply goes up, but it's one of those products where it can just, continuously be opened. And as more and more is opened, then, it starts to deflate in overall supply, which then, of course, over time starts to inflate in value. The only question, of course, remains then, when does the demand start to realize the actual supply as it starts to dwindle? Typically, that's realized a lot more in bull markets than in bear markets, as we saw with a lot of product realizing how valuable and how scarce it truly was once we started to hit the COVID times and everyone started to get back into their old collecting. And so that's something that is very important when kind of looking at that overall perspective of what a midterm, investor looks like, and how it's going to affect the market as well. Because as the market once again continues to nosedive, a lot of these guys are going to jump ship. A lot of them are just going to say, okay, I need to get out now. I thought I was in this hobby because it's one of these things where I could make money. Someone told me I could make money. They got weak hands, paper hands, as they like to say, and they got rid of everything right away. And then you're also going to have those people that are going to look at it. And I'm actually guilty of this myself as well. You're going to have those people that are going to be investing as well, more or less investor / collector types. And they're going to be like, oh, the price of the booster box went down. Well, I might as well open some, because if it's cheap right now, I can probably just go and buy it another time. And, I will have that opportunity sometime in the next 1 or 2 months. I can get it when I, decide that I'm going to get my next paycheck and buy another Evolving Skies booster box. Why not open it while it's still relatively cheap, and I can make my money's worth if I happen to pull a good card, or I just want to continue to collect that set because it's now a lot more affordable to pull cards from it. And so you have those kind of like different mentalities within the market, and a lot of the times it's going to play a long-term factor in the overall continuation of the market going down. Now, next and obviously final investor, we obviously talked about a little bit, but it's the long-term investor. And so when we're talking about long-term, like I said, once again, that's 3 to 5 years. So these long-term investors typically have a lot different of a mindset. They're basically the diamond hands all the way through. And there are some that are very calculated, and there's some that like to do what's called dollar cost average. Dollar cost average types basically just say what the market price is. They put in a small amount, investing in, let's say, like a booster box of Evolving Skies 170, then it goes down to 140. They put some more of their overall capital into it, and then as it continues to go down and down, they invest more and more, which then brings the overall total cost that they spent on these booster boxes to continuously go down. So for them, they don't look at it as, oh, I just bought an Evolving Skies booster box for 170 and another one for 110, let me average that out, make it 130. But in their mind, which that is something that they do when they dollar cost average, but in their mind, more or less, their mentality is in 3 to 5 years, this is going to be worth double what I paid for, no matter what my dollar cost average is. And so for them, they look at it as that like long-term investment, and they're going to hold on to that capital, and they're not going to expend that capital unless it's worth losing. For a lot of people, of course, you know, especially those who aren't really educated when it comes to the overall markets, what they like to do is they like to just full send it, throw everything they have in the market without understanding the overall aggregated risk when it comes to investing. And then when they need some liquidity to shore up because of whatever bills or things, the credit card payments they have to make, they're gonna like wash up. But a lot of these investors, they know their overall capital that they have, and they know a lot of the times the opportunities to kind of get in the market. So I wouldn't be surprised, in my honest opinion, if you did see a lot of huge investors really start to get in the market right now, as you have seen huge kind of show-offs of product, especially considering how cheap it is. Because if you really think about it, and this is something that I've said before, once again, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but let's take Battle Styles, for example. I was buying Battle Styles from my distributor, wholesale price $82. You can now go buy it for $82. Literally, unless there's a flash sale that's going to happen, you're not going to be able to lose money realistically on Battle Styles. Unless we're talking like you sell on like, TCG Player, eBay, and you get secondhand fees and you sell it literally at the price you bought it for, then obviously that's, going to be something else. But as far as it goes long term, you're buying it at literally the prices that I'm buying it at. So it's one of the safest form of investment, because your overall risk, and this is what we're also going to finish off the kind of video with, your RR. So what is your RR? That's your risk to reward ratio. And this is something that you need to really establish depending upon what type of investor you are, especially considering when we look at these 3 types. Because ultimately the question I'm going to ask you guys at the end of the day, and this will be the question for the video, is what kind of investor are you, or what kind of collector are you? Are you the type of person, and hopefully, if you want to say you're a scalper, like at least you're being honest with me and you're listening to the content, even though I don't see you very favorably. But we'll say from the short-term perspective, when asking once again the question, what type are you? Are you the type of guy that likes to open Pokemon product, sells the cards because you want to, get a quick flip on the cards, and then over time you go back and collect as the prices go down, so you still get that experience of opening, but also the experience of collecting the set? Are you that type that's kind of like a middle term, medium-term investor, where you like to collect, but also at the same exact time you see opportunities in the market that you want to eventually, kind of offload on? Or are you the type of person that likes to collect long-term, but also has a little bit set off to the side to invest? Or are you just investor only, or are you a collector only? Because I know there's some people that are just one or the other, or some or both. I personally am a hybrid. So that's kind of the question for the day of which one are you? But now going back to RR and what this really comes down to, risk to reward ratio. It's very simple, very easy to understand. Just knowing when you're getting in and when you're getting out. Are you going to be first in, first out? Are you going to be first in, last out? Are you going to be last in, last out? And basically what these terms are, they're actually kind of accounting terms, which is kind of funny, but they are also important in regards to the overall market trends. Because if you're saying to yourself, you're first in, first out, that means you're more or less having like a kind of not scalper mentality, but flipper mentality. You're one of the first people to get the booster boxes. If you're a distributor, if you buy from a distributor, obviously you have a kind of a one up on the overall market, so you're able to get them for like 86, 90 bucks, some places sadly 99. With that, you then open up the product, or you just resell the product. You're trying to just offload as quick as possible. Then there are those types of people that are basically like I'm the first to get in, and then I'm the last to get out, because once again, that 3 to 5 year kind of time frame period, once again, at this point, I'm just kind of reiterating everything I already said. Now, where RR comes into play is understanding, once again, those opportunities. If you say to yourself, I am a long-term investor, like I said before, if you're investing in an Evolving Skies booster box at 150, sure, you're going to say you could overpay it at that point in time if it does go down, but long-term, you don't care, because you're looking at this as a long-term investment for the next 3 to 5 years. So your overall risk to reward ratio is going to be a lot better than someone who's a short-term flipper or a medium-term investor who just saw the market crash. They were not planning on holding on to this product for that long, and so they're going to take a huge loss. And so that's where it's, important that if you are going to understand these risks, each level of short-term, medium-term, long-term is going to have its own levels of risk, and especially considering the fact of the matter that as we see the market continue to crash, they're going to see more opportunity for those kind of investors all across the board, more specifically for the medium and long-term, because a lot of the short-term, once again, scalpers are going to get hurt the most, which is actually really good for the market overall and its overall health. So just once again, finding out what kind of investor you are, understanding your risk to reward ratio, and knowing when's a good time to buy, as well as understanding not to fully go into the market unless you have a backup plan in case you're knowing that in case this goes sour and I do need to pay off bills and I can't afford this and this is just play money. That you're willing to not exactly lose it all, but take a loss if you do end up having to sell product for whatever reason it may be. So just having that mindset and making sure that you're not jumping in to a financial decision, whether it be from a collector's perspective or an investor's perspective, based off your overall emotion and hype, because of the way in which the direction is going. Because like I had mentioned in my last video, with a lot of LGS stores that took a lot of leverage, you saw a lot of them basically get burned because they over leveraged themselves. And so this kind of concept is going to apply for a lot of those people that once again are these investor collector types that wanted to get in before in their eyes, the market was going to continue to go up. And then of course, a lot of people bought at the top and they really got burned by that. So just a very, once again, overall important concept for you guys to kind of understand in regards to Pokemon collecting and investing, because these things, like I said before, as much as a lot of people hate it, because I know a lot of people bash on investors, I think justifiably scalpers should be bashed on, but for those people that are, investors in the market, you really need these guys, because without them, then they are the people that believe the most in the hobby, actually, because they're the ones that are seeing a financial value in the future of that. And if at the end of the day, this, Pokemon, market doesn't have financial value, it doesn't matter how much you like to collect the cards. At the end of the day, if no one's going to care enough to play the game and no one's going to care enough to have that financial investment in the set, then this card game series or marketplace is never going to survive. So it's very important that a lot of people, once again, understand that a lot of this ties in, together. So, but with all of that being said, that is all I have for today's video. Once again, please make sure to leave a like down below, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and comment. Let me know your kind of questions. Like I said, the question of the day was, which kind of investor / collector are you? And of course, what are your thoughts and what are your questions? I love answering your guys' questions. And if you guys can go back and look, I like to answer very detailed if you ask me a really in-depth question, because that is something that is fun for me. And if there is a topic you want me to kind of talk about or discuss, or just a general question that is very broad, I would love to bring up in the next video. But just a friendly reminder once again, this of course is an opportunity for you guys to win those 2 opportunities to win 6 Fusion Strike packs. All you have to do is be subscribed and then leave a like and comment down below on one of my 3 videos that I post a week. And once again, you can post a comment that will count for each one, and a like, of course, for each entry for all 3 of the videos that I post. But that is all I have for today's video. Thank you guys all so much once again for watching. Until then, I will see you guys on Friday. Peace.